Hello, my name is Sophia Guzman and I will be presenting on telehealth, occupational therapy in a school-based setting, and on a couple of more topics that I found most interesting throughout this course and how they are implemented in using telehealth and how they are implemented in the setting I have chosen. What is telehealth, you may ask? According to OT Potential, Sarah Leone describes telehealth to be medical services provided over a technology platform, pretty much any form of medical care delivered via technology versus in person, meaning it can be considered telehealth. Now, moving on to the actual role of occupational therapy practitioners in telehealth. Telehealth in the OT world has already been used even before COVID-19, but it is still now being used more and more due to COVID-19. The AOTA recognizes telehealth as an application of evaluative, consultative, preventative, and therapeutic services delivered through communication and information technologies. Some pros that Sarah Leone pointed out about telehealth for the OT practitioner are the following. It can be seen as more convenient for both parties. It is easier for the OT's body, meaning less physically demanding. It also puts more emphasis on patient education, and overall, it makes it more accessible for those who wouldn't be able to get OT services in person due to personal reasons. When everything took a turn during the world pandemic, everyone turned to technology, especially people working with patients, which included occupational therapy practitioners. They turned to telehealth because it was the only way to provide therapy for their patients who relied on their services. Telehealth was able to make therapy services possible. Although it may have taken some getting used to, I would say that some people may even prefer telehealth due to it being more convenient and accessible. We learned that although therapy would have to be administered through a screen, the effects were always still positive and able to change people's lives for the better. When learning more about occupational therapy in the school-based setting, I turned to the experts at AOTA, or AOTA. According to their brochures on school-based OT, it consists of OTs and OTAs who use meaningful activities to help children and youth participate in what they need and or want to do in order to promote physical and mental health and well-being. They address their overall physical, cognitive, psychosocial, and sensory components of performance. Since the practitioners are used at a school and perform these tasks at a school, they focus on academics, play and leisure, social participation, which a lot of the time ends up looking like early intervention for kids who have not been diagnosed yet. Moving along to how the next few topics in the following slides are shown in a school-based setting, the 7 OT core values consist of altruism, equality, freedom, justice, dignity, truth, and prudence. These core values are able to provide a foundation for us to use as a guide in our interactions with others. In a school-based setting, we would use these values to help us in our work, in our patient-to-therapist relationship, and in our overall outlook towards others. Especially with telehealth, it allows OTs to always keep things ethical and morally right and stay on the right track. Next, when looking at interprofessional collaborations in a school based setting, this would most likely consist of the OT or OTA, teachers, parents, and guardians, sometimes even social workers or a case manager who would be working together to help the child achieve their overall goal. These professionals would be using skills such as collaboration, cooperation, coordination, and teamwork to work more efficiently and effectively together. With telehealth, this is even more crucial to help everyone work smoothly and keep priorities in line with each other as a team. Therapeutic use of self, according to our OTPF, is defined as an integral part of the occupational therapy process, in which occupational therapy practitioners develop and manage their therapeutic relationship with clients by using professional reasoning, empathy, and a client centered collaborative approach to service. For a school based approach, this is seen as having a very much client centered approach, especially since one would be working with children of all ages. When all of these are used together, it creates a memorable and effective approach for any client who is seeking out occupational therapy. Communication strategies become more fun because it really is a toss up to which one you'd end up using. Now, when faced with communicating via telehealth, that becomes a little trickier since we aren't able to always rely on body language and nonverbal cues. When looking back at Module 5 from this course, I learned that for effective communication, it consists of being clear, listening more than you speak, actively listening by being fully engaged in the conversation, especially when working with kids since they're easily distracted through telehealth. You want to make sure you're being understood and vice versa. For this, you want to be concise and clear to get your point across instead of diverting into sidetracked conversations as well. Conflict management can also be crucial when working in a school based setting because kids can sometimes have tantrums and meltdowns that are sometimes hard to move forward from. There are always different approaches that can be made, not just for kids either. There may be times where the OT and the parent don't see eye to eye, in which accommodation and compromise or even collaboration may have to take place. Overall, it has to be a team effort, especially when it is involving an interprofessional team working together. Lastly, but not least, we have leadership principles, which are also known as social and occupational justice. There are 8 principles that are human dignity, rights and responsibilities, solidarity, priority for the poor and vulnerable, family, community, and participation, stewardship, dignity of work and the rights of workers, and promotion of peace. With these principles kept in mind, and as our framework in our practice, we are able to do what's best in all of these areas to the best of our abilities to make a difference and a change in a person's life. Overall, my thoughts and feelings about the use of occupational therapy telehealth services during the COVID-19 crisis are overall open minded. I think that everyone was hit with something hard during that time, and if being able to do your occupational therapy via telehealth was what helped, I was all for it. Some positives were, of course, just having the accessibility to someone help you via telehealth, but the negative aspect of it would be not being able to actually see that person and have them help you hands-on. In my opinion, I think the future of telehealth looks very bright for our profession following the COVID-19 crisis. I think a lot of people were open to the idea of telehealth and ended up either falling in love or just learning to make the best of the situation like we all had to. I think that through telehealth, we will be able to provide more therapy for more people all around the world and help those who are really in need of occupational therapy. Thank you very much, and that concludes my presentation on telehealth.